All right, welcome to Pilates. We're going to start seated. We're going to have our feet flat on the floor, and I have a lovely assistant here who's going to show us how to do some myofascial release with a tennis ball. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is have your hands behind your thighs. Sit tall on those sitting bones, right in the center of the glutes. Find that long spine, and then we're going to take a breath in, and as we exhale, we'll release the chin towards our chest, keeping a little bit of space under the chin. Inhale, come forward. We'll release chin to the chest, sternum softens, ribs sink a little bit. Inhale, forward. We're going to continue to make this bigger with each successive repetition. And then we're going to get our feet involved by bringing our feet up and pushing them down. So flex the feet up, pull the spine back, drop the shoulders away from the ears, sitting tall. And we're looking for that C curve, that letter C in the spine. And if you're feeling really solid with this, you'll take your hands away from the thighs. And then we're going to start to lengthen those arms up a little more. And the higher up your arms are, the more you will feel your abdominals. Now I'm really working hard to roll my tailbone underneath and through my feet. And then I'm going to hold here and reach my arms as high up as I can, no further than right beside the ears. And I'm going to bring my arms down. And this is pretty challenging. So if you feel like you need to come up a little bit, please do. If you feel like you want to just do it with one hand and keep one hand behind your thigh at all times as an option, you can take that. But I'm going to add on. We're going to take all these pieces that we've begun to, or that we've learned, and begin to put them together. Okay? So it could be opposite arm to leg, holding behind the thigh, just the arms, just the legs. I'm giving you lots of options because I want you to play around with what makes sense for you. Each one of us has a different capacity to hold these positions, to move our levers. I'm a pretty short person, so I have short levers, and it's a little easier for me to move them around because my center of gravity is lower. Okay? We're going to go ahead and hold this next one here. Bring that second leg and try to find your balance. Now you're still scooping like crazy, dropping the shoulders, legs are stretched a little ways away from you so your hip flexors are not overactive. And then if this is enough, stay here. Otherwise, you're just going to fall to the shoulder blades and come up. Try not to swing your legs back. So we're going to just keep them so that everything stays the same, but we rock to the shoulders, rock up. If you throw your legs back, the likelihood is you're going to get up there on your cervical spine, and I don't want you to scrunch your neck, okay? Looking for a little bit of a challenge, try holding your heels closer to your glutes. You can start out here and work them in. The closer they are to you, the more demanding this is to get back up. We've got one more. Now right from here, we're going to stretch those legs out. When you straighten your legs completely, you may notice that your spine does this. So feel free to start with a little softening of the knees, long spine, ear, shoulder, hip, arms reach out. Your legs will straighten all by themselves. We'll start with a half roll back, which is what you were doing earlier with your C curve, but now your legs are straight. Shoulders slide down, pinky fingers just graze outside of the thighs, and then we come up. Okay, so you have to kind of figure out which way you want to breathe. I like exhale back, pause, exhale, pull my navel towards my spine to help me lift back up. But you may find you want to inhale back, exhale up, or vice versa. And I heard this at a conference once, and I loved it. And the goal here is the breath is a tool, not a rule. So really what we're saying is continuously breathe. Don't hold your breath, even if you're not breathing in the prescribed method for a particular exercise. So this half rollback is going to get bigger and bigger, and it may not get bigger for everyone. You may stick with a half rollback, or you may find you can roll all the way down, to the floor. Roll the chin to the chest, roll all the way up. Now, a lot of the time, people kind of do this, what I call a fling off the floor. So I'm going to invite you to bring a leg into your chest, roll your chin to your chest, look right at your knee, exhale, and let that leg assist you in coming up. Okay? We can start to play with our arms to see if those arms are willing to extend back without flaring the rib cage. Keeping the legs straight the whole time you come up. And then maybe you have enough room to round over, get a really nice stretch through the back, and then roll up to a stacked position, possibly bending the knees to make that happen. Breathing in. Exhale. Have the sense that your fingers are reaching firmly towards your feet as you're rolling the spine down sequentially, one piece at a time, stretching the arms back, keeping the abdominal wall engaged. Exhaling, rolling yourself up. We've got just one more round over if that's available to you. Inhale, stack it up. Exhale, roll it back. And hug a knee into your chest. We're going to hang here and circle the ankle. Circle in the other direction, and I'll give you a little helpful hint. In this position, your knee is in a good deal of flexion, and the added pressure of your hand on the shin may not feel good if you have something going on with the knee. So, let's go to the second side. You can hold underneath the thigh instead, and that may feel better to you. Anytime we do an exercise where the shin is held in like that, feel free to use the thigh instead. And I say that because we're about to add on. So here's the leg. You're going to take that knee and press it out so it's over the hip joint. And as you do that, you'll feel your arms get to a full extension. That's going to initiate chin tucking towards the chest. Eye focus at the knee. Exhale, roll up. And inhale, roll back. Good. Exhale, roll up. And inhale, roll back. So you're trying to create a little pressure here with the back of the thigh on the hands. And that helps you up, but you're also not allowing the leg to stretch away from you. We could do that, but I'm not going to right now. So we're going to go one more time and come on back. And this is just an opportunity for you to practice the rolling up portion without the whole roll up. So we did a half roll back, now we're doing a half roll up, and in the middle we had the full deal. Okay? And I point these things out because it may work better for you to stick with one or the other, or you might find you want to put it all together. So my teaching style is what I call the Pilates buffet. You don't put it on your plate if you don't want it, okay? We're going to stay up on this next one and do an exercise called single leg stretch. So what I'm going to ask you to do is bring that extended leg even with the bent knee foot, and you can either stay here or come to this position. Lift out of the shoulders as much as you can, and for a challenge you could get that leg nice and low above the floor. Your choice. We're going to breathe in, switch. We're going to breathe out, switch back. Now there are prescribed methods for how the hands are held, but you can just do whatever works for you, because right now what I want you to think about is keeping the lower ribs pulled towards the pelvis, getting a good solid contraction in there while you're still breathing continuously. Here's that last set. Right from here, we're going to bring the knees in, relax the head down. Anytime your legs are up off of the floor like this, the potential exists for your back to strain, and that happens because the legs move too far away from us to stabilize. So slide those legs out, knees over hips, and hands resting alongside you. If you're starting to feel your low back already, keep those legs a little closer in. That's that little bit of an imprint that we talked about. Your low back drops down into the floor. Shoulders are open wide. We're going to drop one and then the other. Now I am tapping my big toe to the floor, but you don't have to. It's a directional cue. You just reach the foot down, and it feels quite different than it did when we were doing a single leg stretch, holding ourselves in spinal flexion. And that is because right now we're in spinal extension, so your abs are active in a lengthened position. Okay? If you're feeling really strong and you want the challenge, flex your feet and try to reach one heel down. If you're feeling overly challenged and your back is straining, keep your range of motion smaller. You don't have to go all the way to the floor. Okay? So we're going to go one more time each side. And then we just relax. Hug the knees in. Feel how your back presses into the floor as your tailbone lifts away from the floor. This is a really nice stretch, but we wouldn't want to stay here too much at one time because your hip flexors are very active. Now we're going to bring our hands behind our head here, looking right towards the knees. You still have that same position. Your legs could be tabletop, they could be a little bit higher, but the knee is right over the hip. Again, if you need to bring it closer because it feels better on your body, you could do that. My hands are really low on the base of my skull, and I am a person that doesn't interlace, and I don't interlace because I tend to create too much tension in my hands, and then it just doesn't feel good. It's distracting for me. So I'm going to ask you to reach one leg out, reach the other leg out. One foot inside the opposite leg, the other foot. Your elbows are comfortably wide here. You're not squeezing your head, nor are you forcing them open. So they're wherever it works for you. And we begin to rotate towards the incoming leg. The important factor here is to not pass the inside of the leg. So it's more about lifting up with a shallow angle than a big angle, flinging yourself side to side. All right, we're gonna go 2 more times. And one more time. Hug those knees in and relax the head. Give yourself a gentle sway side to side. This is an opportunity to notice where your sacrum is, so the flat part of the pelvis above the fullness of the glutes and below the waist. That's your sacrum. And we're going to bring those legs back out and up with the feet high enough that you can see them above your knees. Your hands can be palms down or palms up. I like palms up simply because it allows the shoulders to open as you roll the humeral head in the socket. Okay, so heels together, toes apart, knees about the width of the shoulders. And I'm going to flex my feet, let my knees come towards me, and right about the time I start feeling my back dive down into the mat, that's where I'm going to stop. I don't want to curl my behind up here. And then I'm going to press my legs out to as full of an extension as I can, maybe even pointing the toes. So we have flex, bend, knees about the width of the shoulders, point, extend. The lower your legs are towards the floor, the more demanding this becomes on your core. Again, you should not feel strain at the back of the waist. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. All right, last 2. Last one, we're going to keep those knees in, okay? Let your hands come to your thighs. Keep the positioning of the legs. Glue your heels together. If you're a person that has sticky socks, you like wearing those, you'll see me wearing them some of the time. They can help you keep your feet together. I have some lovely calluses that do that for me. So I'm going to look right towards my heels, roll my chin to my chest, and I'm going to exhale, let this lift me up. Inhale, let it lower me down. As it lifts you up, watch out that you're not diving the shoulders or pulling the shoulders up around the ears. So you want to let the legs help you lift without getting overly active. And then if you don't need the legs to help you, you're just going to explore reaching the hands past the thighs, maybe letting them come up and out. So we're working our way to the position of the 100. And we're going to go ahead and make this next one your last. Fold the legs in, and let's practice those 100 arms. If you're feeling fatigued and you want to just place your feet on the floor, go ahead and do that, okay? One thing I do want to caution you about though is when you feel fatigued and you're really tempted to do this, try not to, because you scare your dog, but also because it pulls your back to drop the heavy bones and muscles down like that, and it gives you that big pull, and it doesn't feel very good. So one leg at a time, and then we'll just practice our 100. So the arms are pulsing firmly. It's like you're trying to show off your fabulous tricep muscles, and then your fingers are reaching towards the end of the mat. We're going to breathe in for 5 of these pulses, or as many as we can, so don't hold your breath. If you get to 3 or 4, that's fine as well. We breathe in and out, and in and out. Now your legs could be up, but I'm going to start here and progress it. So on the exhale phase, roll your chin to your chest and come up, and roll back down on the inhale phase. Try that. See how it feels. Maybe it doesn't feel good to your neck and you'd rather stay here. Okay, that's fine. You can also bring one leg and then the other leg up. From that position, you roll the head and shoulders up and roll the head and shoulders down. I like exhale up, inhale down. You decide. I'm going to keep making it more challenging, so you come along for the ride if you're up for it. Legs extend as far away from you as you feel that you can as you roll your head and shoulders up and reach it back down. Good. And one last time. And relax. So typically the 100 is done from this position for all 10 rounds of 10, 5 breaths in, 5 breaths out. It's a long time to have your head up like this. It's a long time to hold your legs out. So I like to break it down into lots of pieces for you, because eventually you'll be able to challenge yourself to some extent, possibly the full 100. But some people, it just doesn't feel good on their neck. So there's lots of ways for us to manipulate the variables, and I love to do that. So let's take the knees over the hips, open the arms wide, and right from here, just check in with the back of the waist. If it feels like it needs to happen, bring the knees a little bit closer. If you're thinking to yourself, I could go a little farther out, go ahead and do that. Work those abs, okay? We are rocking to one side of the mat. You'll notice my shoulder stays down, and it's not a huge rock. And then we're going to bring it up and over to the other side. So I'm rocking across that sacrum, back of the pelvis. My shoulders are open wide, my chest and face are towards the ceiling, and from the rib cage down, I am rotating my spine. Now you can keep it like this, or we can challenge a little bit, adding a leg, extending. And I like to start with the top leg. Not only is it a good effort for your core, but it's kind of a nice stretch along the iliotibial band pathway. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do that just 2 more times. And 1 more time. And from there, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and hug those knees into your chest. And I'll show you where you could go with that if you were so inclined. So we are rocking over, stretching both legs. This is called can-can. So you can do it with the legs staying bent the whole time. You can do it with one leg extending, or you can add both legs extending. We're going to go one last time. And then from here, we'll rock ourselves up. We're going to rotate towards the screen, reach the arm up. This hand's going to hold the legs, drop the shoulder down. Now, in this position, if your knees are not comfortable, I'm going to ask you to open it up a little bit more, and if it's still not comfortable on that outside knee, you're going to come here, okay? So the hand is either on the ankle of the forward leg or the ankle of the outside leg, in whichever position works for you. Dive up and over into what we call a mermaid stretch. Good. So a lot of the names that you'll hear in the Pilates repertoire are representative of some activity or some animal. Not unlike yoga. We're going to swing around to the other side, reach up, dive up and over. Good. And remember, are all your different options for leg position depending on what's going on with your knees. Okay? So, speaking of what's going on with your knees, what I'd like you to do is just make sure you have about fist distance between your knee joints. And we're going to be here on our hands and knees for a moment. Your feet are uncurled, but if you feel okay curling them, we're just going to press into the feet. We're not actually lifting the knees yet. This should give you a good contraction in your abdominals. But first I want to talk about this position with your arms. A lot of people struggle with wrist pressure, and so I'm going to give you a few things to try. Thing number one, we usually hear hands directly under the shoulders. I like to give you an inch or two. Now the inch or two doesn't mean that your shoulders get to go too. It's just an inch or two forward for your hands. Then you're going to press vigorously through the forehand and the fingertips. So you're not just on the heel of the hand, you are dispersing the weight across a greater area so there's less pressure on the wrist. Okay? Now, all I want you to do for me is inhale and feel length from the crown of the head all the way out through the tailbone and along the spine. Okay? As you exhale, press firmly into the hands and the feet, pull the belly flesh in. This is a very active movement even though we're not going anywhere yet. Okay? So we're going to breathe in and we're going to breathe out, press through the hands and feet, shoulders pull back gently, and inhale. 3 more times. Exhale, press. Inhale, release. Exhale, press. Inhale, release. Let's do one more. Exhale, press. Inhale, release. Uncurl the toes. Walk your feet back. Walk your body down. Bring your hands under your forehead. Okay? Reach those legs well back so it feels like the front of the hips are open against the mat. And just relax once you get there. So we're going to practice shoulders gently drawing away from the ears. And that movement, along with your exhale, is going to initiate this. So let's leave the hands here for now. We're going to exhale, slide the shoulders down, pull the belly in, and look at the end of the mat. Just pressing through the forearms. Watch out that the shoulders don't jump into the ears, and we're not trying to look across the room, we're just looking towards the end of the mat. Release. So we exhale, press up, and we inhale, release. Now we could add the arms if you're feeling like you wanted to, then come straight out to the sides. Notice my feet stay down. I'm using these extensor muscles here. Some of you may feel comfortable bringing it all the way back and lifting the chest a little more vigorously. Okay? If there's a reason for you not to be on your belly, I'm going to give you some options here. So make this next one your last one, and then let's press up and back into a stretch. We'll talk about the legs real quick. Your knees can be together. They can be sitting bone distance apart. They could be knees wider than your feet and toes together. Your arms can be out, in, under, or back. So we're looking for a position that feels good on your back and doesn't create stress someplace else. So back to this position on the knees. We're going to finish up with an alternative to lying on your belly. Okay, so your hands are going to be behind your head or on your thighs. This is going to be more doable, so I'll start here. I'm going to slide my fingers towards my thigh, or towards my knees, and I'm going to lean forward. I'm trying not to round. So I'm going to lean forward and maybe put my hands on the floor, come dive out to this quadruped position. I'm going to come up, and you can flex. You will need to for a second. So this is Pilates cat, okay? And this is much more flexion, extension, hyperextension, or yoga cat. Sorry, this is yoga cow. This is yoga cat. So you pass through that as you come up, okay? So this is a good alternative for that extension work. And it feels kind of nice, but if you want to challenge, you can hinge forward at the waist, or hips, sorry, and come up. trying to stay flat. And this is a different version of extension, and it's hard. My hips have to come back a little bit to keep a straight line in my back and up. So it's like you're going into a bit of a squat and you're coming into this movement. And I give you this because sometimes there are reasons why you wouldn't want to lie down on your belly. Pregnancy is one of them. Any kind of surgery where you're placing pressure on some part of your body that has had surgery, or if you have to give yourself self-injections for some reason and your injection sites are on the front of your body, it's good to have choices, okay? So for right now, that is going to conclude our Pilates session, and we are starting to fold together some of the different exercises from the original mat repertoire, and we're doing it in a way that allows you to progress and explore the options that suit you best, because once we get a little bit further along, we're going to be making things a little bit more brisk, a little bit more challenging, but I want you to know what works for you before we get there. So I hope this was a good one for you, and I look forward to working with you again soon. Take care.